Coincidence is a lie you've been told your whole life. We've all heard the stories and explanations. It's just a coincidence, they say. Things just happen. It's all chance, randomness, probability. And deep down, you've always felt there was more to it. You've experienced moments in life that felt far too perfect to be mere accidents. Tiny glimpses of something far more intelligent woven into the mundane. A number you see everywhere you turn. A phone call at the exact moment you were thinking of that person. A song lyric that hits you right when you needed to hear it the most. Why? And yet each time you brushed it off. You were taught to dismiss it, conditioned to believe that these were just random occurrences, nothing more than your mind playing tricks. But what if you were wrong? What if those so-called coincidences weren't random at all? What if they were something much deeper? These moments aren't accidents. They're messages, clues, markers from something greater, something trying to reach you. This isn't about superstition or wishful thinking. This is about seeing reality as it truly is, alive, aware, and constantly communicating. The question is, are you ready to listen? You weren't born blind to the deeper meanings in life. As a child, you noticed everything, the patterns in the clouds, the shapes in the shadows, and the strange timing of events that made you stop and think. You felt awe and wonder without needing an explanation. You sensed things without being told, without logic, just pure intuition. But over time, that instinct was buried. Bit by bit, you were taught to stop believing in things that couldn't be measured or explained. You were told there were no signs, that seeing connections where there was none was simply a glitch in your brain, a bias, a flaw that needed to be corrected. School taught you that the world runs on hard facts and solid rules, and science only works through cause and effect. If you couldn't prove something in a lab, then it wasn't real. And so you stopped trusting those moments that whispered something deeper. You stopped questioning why certain things happened at just the right time, and you stopped looking for meaning in the things you couldn't control. But still, those signs didn't go away. The same numbers, the same names, the same themes kept appearing like a hidden code written into the fabric of your life. But when you brought it up, people called it a coincidence. And you believed them. Not because you wanted to, but because belief isn't always a choice. It's often a survival mechanism. In a world that punishes weirdness and strangeness, it's safer to stay silent, to bear your questions, than to risk standing out. So you learn to wear that blindfold. You learn to trust logic over intuition, to silence the part of you that still sensed something more. The system you grew up in thrives on predictability. It needs you to follow a script, stay focused on what's visible, provable, and monetizable. If you wander into the realm of mystery, if you stop to reflect on things that can't be quantified, you become harder to manage. And that's a problem for them. So they taught you to shut it down, to stop trusting that deep alignment you sometimes felt, to laugh off the signs as mere accidents, and to scoff at synchronicity. They told you it was just your brain playing tricks on you. But here's the truth, your brain isn't tricking you. It's trying to wake you up. You're not imagining the pattern, you're noticing the code. Synchronicity is real, and it's not about luck. The idea of synchronicity was never meant to be mainstream. Because once you see the world through that lens, you stop playing by the usual rules. You begin to notice when the universe is nudging you, calling you, aligning your path in ways no one else sees. And suddenly you stop feeling like a victim of chaos. You begin to realize that you're part of something much greater, something ancient, deliberate, and deeply personal. That doesn't mean that every coincidence is a divine message. It means you're no longer living blindly. You've stepped out of the illusion that life is a random collection of events and into the awareness that every moment might hold meaning if you're willing to look closer. The reason you've forgotten how to see these signs isn't because you lost the ability. It's because the world trained it out of you. But even training can be undone. This isn't about learning something new. It's about remembering what you already knew before they taught you to forget. You were never meant to sleepwalk through life. You were meant to notice the trail of signs left just for you and follow them towards something real. Carl Jung once said, "Synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see." He didn't mean it metaphorically. He meant it literally. Jung, one of the most influential minds in psychology, wasn't just a thinker. He was a map maker of the soul, someone who saw what lay beneath the surface of what we call reality. And when he introduced the term synchronicity, he wasn't trying to explain away strange coincidences. He was revealing a fundamental principle of existence, that the inner world and the outer world are not separate, but mirror images of the same underlying intelligence. Jung noticed something curious in his patients. People would often experience deeply meaningful events that defied logic or probability. For example, a woman might describe a dream about a golden scarab, only for a real scarab beetle to tap against the window at that exact moment. Or a man facing a major life decision would keep encountering the same symbol in unrelated places on a song, a billboard, a dream. Jung realized these weren't hallucinations or fantasies. They were messages, signs that something deeper was orchestrating the intersections between mind and matter. He called it meaningful coincidence. But it wasn't about luck, it was about alignment. Synchronicities don't just happen at random. They appear when the psyche is activated, when the unconscious is trying to break through the noise of everyday life. And that's where archetypes come in. Jung believed our subconscious minds are wired with symbolic patterns, universal themes like the mother, the hero, the shadow. These archetypes aren't just found in stories and myths. They're found in dreams, behaviors, and even the people we attract into our lives. They shape our perception of the world and draw certain experiences toward us. And when something in the external world triggers an archetype, it's not just a reflection, it's a call, a moment where reality reaches back. This is why synchronicities feel so intense. They're not random. They're exact. They appear when something within us is being activated, surfaced, or shifted. And the more conscious we become of these inner forces, the more visible the outer reflections become. Think about the times in your life when everything seemed to align. You thought of someone, and they appeared. You had a question, and the answer came in an unexpected form. You felt lost, and suddenly a symbol, a number, or a phrase seemed to guide you back. These moments aren't anomalies, they're access points, invitation to deeper awareness. But we've been trained to dismiss them, to believe that if we can't explain something, it must not be real. Jung didn't accept that. He saw the psyche and the world as two halves of one system. The conscious mind projects meaning, and the unconscious responds through symbols. The world then becomes a mirror of the inner landscape, not metaphorically, but energetically and synchronistically. The synchronistic code and the universe's mirror. Jung didn't just define synchronicity, he revealed the architecture of connection. He saw the universe as a deeply interconnected system where the external world is not a mere backdrop for our lives, but a mirror of our inner world. It's not just about chance or coincidence, it's about alignment, about the universe reflecting back the inner shifts, beliefs, and choices you make. This isn't magic. It's not superstition. It's not wishful thinking. It's an ancient intuitive truth, one that science is just beginning to catch up with. What Jung began to uncover was something profound. You are not merely an observer of life. You are a participant in a living pattern, one that is both psychological and cosmic. Every thought you have, every emotion you feel, every image that arises in your dreams, all of it interacts with a deeper field of intelligence. And that field responds. When you align with your inner truth, the world outside begins to align with you. That's not ego. That's resonance. That's synchronicity. This is the original code of meaning, not imposed from the outside, but awakened from within. When you understand this, life stops being a random sequence of events and starts becoming a story. A story written by your soul, shaped by archetypes, mirrored by reality. This is where synchronicity becomes more than a theory. It becomes a philosophy, a way of life that reveals the deeper connections beneath the surface. Synchronicity as the universe's spiritual language. The universe doesn't speak in words. It speaks in patterns, symbols, and timing. And if you're paying attention, it's constantly speaking. Most people walk through life thinking they're alone in their thoughts, that the world is indifferent to their struggles or questions. But those who begin to awaken know better. They start to notice that when they're at a crossroads, a message arrives. When they're breaking down, a breakthrough appears. And when they're about to turn away from their path, something subtle but undeniable calls them back. That's something. It's synchronicity. Synchronicity is the spiritual language of the universe. And it's not a language heard with the ears or seen with the eyes. It's felt. It shows up as that strange knowing, that gut feeling that something is significant, even if you can't explain why. It's the way a book falls open to the exact page you needed, or the way a stranger's words echo the thought that's been haunting you all week. These moments aren't coincidences. They're spiritual contact points, brief, but profound confirmations that reality is more than what you've been told. Across every spiritual tradition, there's a belief that the universe communicates through signs. In ancient Egypt, dreams and omens were sacred messages. In Hinduism, divine timing is known as kala, not just chronological time, but a moment imbued with meaning. Indigenous cultures around the world speak of nature as a conscious force, animals, weather, and landscapes as guides, not just background noise. Even the Abrahamic traditions carry the theme of synchronicity, with angels appearing at the right moment and visions or symbols guiding people toward their divine purpose. The language may differ, but the message is the same. You are not wandering through a dead world. You are in constant dialogue with a living one. Synchronicity and the spiritual awakening. Synchronicities often appear during spiritual awakenings, especially when your old life begins to dissolve and something new is trying to emerge. It's no coincidence that people often report strange signs when they're about to leave a toxic relationship, start a creative pursuit, or walk away from a life that no longer fits. The more you align with your authentic path, the louder the universe speaks. But it's not because the universe suddenly turns on. It's been speaking all along. You just became quiet enough to hear it. And still, many people ignore these signs, not because they don't believe, but because they don't trust themselves. They doubt their intuition. They rationalize the message away because it doesn't come in a form that fits logic. But here's the thing, spiritual language doesn't speak in formulas. It speaks in resonance. It speaks in timing. It speaks in dream songs, déjà vu, and the subtle electricity of a moment that feels too exact to be random. And when you learn to stop asking, is this real, and start asking, what is this showing me? That's when the language reveals itself. The wake-up calls of synchronicity. Sometimes the signs are gentle nudges. Other times they're wake-up calls that shake you to your core. A missed flight that prevents disaster. A sudden illness that forces you to slow down. A loss that strips away your false identity so you can find who you really are. These aren't punishments, they're recalibrations. The soul's way of realigning you when you've veered off track. Not all synchronicities feel good. Some are painful. But even the painful ones carry messages. Change is needed. Evolution is calling. Growth is overdue. When you begin to honor synchronicity as communication, not superstition, you start moving differently in the world. You start asking for guidance and listening for the reply. You begin recognizing that every day, in ways big and small, something greater is walking with you, whispering through your life, arranging moments you don't have to understand in order to trust. And that trust becomes your compass, not because it guarantees safety, but because it reconnects you to a deeper intelligence than fear could ever offer. You were never meant to walk this path alone. You were always meant to dance with the invisible, moving through life with presence. When synchronicity becomes a way of life, everything changes. You stop forcing outcomes. You stop settling for what doesn't resonate. You start choosing based on alignment rather than fear. And when you can't see the full path ahead, you trust the next step. This is how the path reveals itself, one step at a time, one sign at a time, one small act of trust after another. You begin to build a life that doesn't just look good on the outside, but feels true on the inside, a life that is guided, not driven. This kind of life isn't loud. It's not always obvious to others. From the outside, you might still look like someone going to work, drinking coffee, paying bills. But internally, everything is different. You move from a different place. You respond to a different rhythm, and slowly others start to notice. They feel something in your presence. They ask how you stay calm in chaos, how you know when to take risks, how you make peace with the unknown. And maybe you'll tell them the truth. You stopped fighting the current, and you started listening to the signs. The role of synchronicity in our evolution. This way of living doesn't make you immune to pain. It doesn't exempt you from challenges, but it gives you a compass in the storm. It reminds you that even when everything seems uncertain, there are patterns trying to find you. There is guidance trying to reach you. And if you stay present, you'll always know what to do next, not because it makes sense on paper, but because it feels aligned in your soul. The story we've been told is that life is random, that we're alone, that meaning is something we impose onto a dead universe. But that story is crumbling. In its place, something ancient and true is rising, an ancient story where life is not separate from us, but speaking to us in every moment through timing, through feeling, through symbols, dreams, and strange alignments. Through the soft pulse of synchronicity guiding us back to ourselves, living in harmony with synchronicity. If you want to keep living asleep, chasing empty goals, and ignoring the call of your soul, you can. But you'll always feel that quiet ache, that sense that something is missing. However, when you choose to live in rhythm with the mystery, when you follow the signs and surrender to the dialogue the universe is offering you, you don't just find your path. You find yourself, not the version of you shaped by external expectations, but the real you, the one who knows, the one who remembers. Synchronicity isn't just a mystical occurrence that happens once in a while. It's a way of life, a guiding force that always surrounds us. But to notice it, to truly experience it, requires you to be awake. You must become sensitive to the unseen architecture of your life, paying attention to the subtle whispers that others might miss. These signs aren't meant to entertain you, they're meant to evolve you. And as you begin to tune into them, something incredible happens. The world around you stops feeling like a random collection of events. It starts to feel like a vast interconnected web where every experience has meaning, every encounter has purpose. You're no longer just going through the motions. You're living in alignment with a deeper intelligence, one that's guiding you toward your true self. The art of becoming sensitive to synchronicity. The more you practice being present, the more you begin to notice these synchronicities. You stop chasing certainty and start embracing the mystery. You understand that the real power lies not in trying to control every aspect of life, but in being attuned to it. Life stops being something that happens to you and starts becoming something you actively participate in. This shift is not about having all the answers. It's about learning to ask the right questions and listening to the answers that life is already giving you. The more you cultivate self-awareness, the more fluent you become in the language of synchronicity. You start seeing patterns that once felt invisible. You stop needing proof or logic to validate your experiences, and instead you trust the alignment. And when that happens, you'll start to see synchronicity everywhere. It won't just show up in moments of crisis or challenge. It will begin to weave itself into the fabric of your everyday life. You'll notice the subtle connections in the people you meet, in the books you pick up, in the conversations you overhear. These small moments may seem insignificant to others, but to you they will carry deep meaning. The role of rituals and awareness in cultivating synchronicity. Synchronicity thrives in moments of stillness, in spaces where you can pause, reflect, and listen. It's not about rushing through life or forcing things to happen. It's about creating space for the unexpected, for the signs to emerge. That's where rituals can help. You don't need crystals or incense unless they hold personal meaning for you. What you do need is a way to reconnect with yourself, a practice that allows you to slow down, reflect, and ask for guidance. Whether it's a few minutes of quiet in the morning, lighting a candle before making an important decision, or simply taking a walk in nature, the point is to create space for the universe to speak to you. Synchronicity is a two-way relationship. If you want the signs to speak louder, you need to show that you're listening. The universe responds to your awareness, to your openness, and to your willingness to be changed. If you approach life with the intention of understanding and learning from the signs, you'll start to see them everywhere. They won't just be occasional random occurrences. They'll become a constant thread weaving through your life, trusting the universe's timing. One of the most important things to understand about synchronicity is that it's not about control. It's about trust. You may not always understand the signs when they first appear, but trust that they are leading you to exactly where you need to go. Sometimes the signs are clear, and other times they are more subtle. But in every case, they are invitations to step deeper into alignment with your true self. You may wonder why the signs aren't always loud or dramatic. The truth is, they don't need to be. Synchronicity is often quiet, gentle, and subtle. It's a whisper that invites you to stop and listen. It's in the quiet moments of your life when you pause just long enough to recognize the pattern or the message that you realize you're being guided. And when you learn to trust these subtle nudges, you begin to walk in harmony with the flow of life. Synchronicity as a confirmation of your path. As you begin to live in sync with the universe's rhythm, you'll notice that certain moments begin to feel like checkpoints. You'll reach points in your life where everything seems to click into place. A decision you've been hesitant to make suddenly feels right. An opportunity you never expected shows up at the perfect time. You meet someone who will change your life, or a piece of information comes to you just when you need it. These are the synchronicities that serve as confirmations of your path. They're not random events, they're guides along your journey, confirming that you're on the right track. But the most powerful part of synchronicity is that it's not a force that dictates your path. It's a conversation and invitation to engage with life's flow. Every synchronicity is a choice point. The universe doesn't demand that you follow the signs, it simply offers them to you, gently guiding you in the right direction. You are still free to choose whether or not to listen. But when you do, when you follow the signs, you align yourself with the path that resonates most deeply with your soul. Living a life in dialogue with the universe. When you start recognizing synchronicity as a natural part of your life, it stops feeling like an occasional occurrence. It becomes a way of living. Every day you'll notice small moments of guidance, small shifts in your awareness that confirm you're moving in the right direction. These moments may seem insignificant to others, but to you they will carry profound meaning. Synchronicity invites you to engage with life not as a passive observer, but as an active participant. It reminds you that you are not alone. You are connected to something vast, something ancient, something intelligent. And when you begin to trust that connection, you start walking a path that feels less like wandering and more like remembering. The truth is, life isn't random. It's responsive. The world doesn't just reflect your actions, it reflects your inner state, your thoughts, emotions, and intentions. And when you begin to realize that your consciousness shapes your reality, everything changes. Final thoughts on synchronicity and free will. Synchronicity doesn't eliminate free will. It illuminates it. It's not a script you have to follow. It's a conversation you're invited to join. The signs don't force you. They guide you gently, nudging you in the direction of your true self. And as you learn to trust those signs, you begin to co-create your life with the universe, one small act of trust at a time. Synchronicity is not about having all the answers. It's about recognizing the questions. It's about learning to listen, to notice the patterns, to feel the alignment. And in doing so, you begin to live a life that's not defined by random events, but by a deep intentional connection to the world around you. You begin to walk in truth, not because you have all the answers, but because you've learned how to ask the right questions and listen for the reply. So the next time you experience a moment that feels too precise to be random, don't dismiss it. Don't rationalize it away. Instead, ask yourself, what is this showing me? The signs are always there waiting for you to notice. The universe has been speaking to you your whole life. The question is, will you finally listen